Hi everybody, welcome back. So I have a little bit of time here on the weekend to finish up the drill press project, which I just did, and I thought I'd just share with you what I got. So what I ended up buying was a Grizzly industrial model T339004, and I'm not even in frame, am I? I'm using the handheld camera here. And I bought it for a few reasons. This is not the highest quality machine. I mean, it's not a machine shop quality drill press by any means, but it is a large drill press. It has it's a 20-inch. 20-inch means the actual swing that it has. What is the swing of a drill? It's the distance of the center distance of an object from from edge to edge. So basically from here to here would be 10 inches of workable space. And from here, and then out would be 10 inches of workable space. That's what that means. So if you have something that's 20 inches in diameter, you can drill the center of it and it won't hit this post back here. So that's really what that is. Let me adjust this camera. There we go. This is one of those gimbal cameras. So anyway, why did I buy this? Well, first of all, the price was right. This is on closeout right now. There's a few of them left at Grizzly, and this was about $1,000. And for a 20-inch drill press with a 1.5 horsepower motor, that's at least, decent build quality, you'll spend more than double of that. Now, I could have bought, for instance, the Powermatic. They make an 18-inch, I believe, and it's variable speed, and it's mechanically variable speed, meaning it has the gears or the pulley that changes diameter. But I read that they were having problems with that, and it kind of scared me off a little bit from it. My table saw is a Powermatic 2000, PM2000. It's a great saw. Most of the Powermatic tools were, machine shop quality back in their day, but I guess the drill press isn't what it used to be. And it's more than double the price of this. So here's my train of thought, and maybe you'll agree or not agree with me, but I would rather buy a little bit lower end machine where the casting and everything is good. The table, the finish on the table is excellent. You can just kind of see it down here. I'll put the light on. The fit and finish of the table, the grinding and everything is perfect. This thing came right out of the box aligned. I didn't have to hardly touch anything. I'll go over a little bit of what you want to do when you buy a new drill press. But I felt that it was better to buy a less expensive drill press, that the bones on it are good, but the accessories are not so good. And what I mean by that is, for instance, first of all, when this showed up, it was missing the chuck. They forgot to put the chuck in. When I called and ordered under warranty, Grizzly was very good with me about it, but they didn't have any in stock. And they said that there's not going to be another production run of them until January of next year. By the way, this video, it is now August. So I said, that's unacceptable. So they said what they're going to do is if they can't expedite ship one, like if there's not one overseas they can expedite to me, they'll send me a alternate one, which will probably be the keyless chuck. That being said, I really don't care about the chuck. These kinds of drill presses, the reason the prices are lower is they cut some corners on things like the accessories. They put not a very good spindle. I'll show you the spindle. It did come with a spindle. Here it is. You can just kind of see the machining on it is not so good. See all the marks on it and stuff. I didn't even check to see how true it is. It's probably pretty true, but not very good quality. The belts are very cheap belts, made in China, and they are not the correct size that the part number specifies us. So you can see this is an A686 and this one here is an A787, and you can already see how raggedy these are. These are very, very cheap belts, not good at all. So invest in a good set of Gates belts. You know, you're going to spend 30 bucks a piece for those belts to buy the good cogged high torque belts from Gates. But the problem is, if you order this part number from Gates, the belts are going to be a little bit too short. These are not to spec, and so therefore I really have to measure them and then find the close enough match I could get to order them. So I haven't done that yet, but unfortunately that's the way it is. Little things like that. So what I did was I spent less money on the drill press, and that allowed me to spend the extra money on a really good chuck. This is an Albrecht chuck. It has a one-piece spindle and chuck. In other words, it's all one forged piece, or one machined piece. So the arbor and the chuck is all one piece. The runout on this, I'll show you a little video insert because I recorded the runout. It's pretty much nothing. Even at the drill bit, if you put a drill bit here, the runout here is nothing. Now it's pretty easy to get low runout at the arbor, but all the way down to the chuck, that's something. Now I have a cheaper one, which is this one right here. Very good quality arbor that I got for it. Not good quality chuck. And this sucker has, even if you tune it and adjust it and everything, I can't get it any better than about 3/1000ths, which is way too much. But this is a 5/8 inch chuck. If I'm going to drill something very large, with a large drill bit, a couple thousandths may be okay. The problem is if you put a small drill bit or you put a sub chuck in it like this, to hold really small bits, what's going to happen is it's going to multiply your problem, and your holes are not going to, they're going to be oblong or they're going to be the wrong size. So this is okay for bigger items, but this is a 1/2 inch chuck that I have in here, the Albrecht, and it's very accurate. And I was able to afford this because I spent less than half on this drill press than I would have spent on, for instance, the Powermatic or one of the other higher end drill presses that are out there. And there are quite a few. I looked at the Nova. The thing I don't like about the Nova is, let me show you something. Here's my dust collector. It's a Laguna, and it is a model, what is it? There's the model. You can read it maybe. I bought this thing, I don't know, about 15 years ago or better. It's not that old. It replaced my bag type dust collection system. This is a cyclonic one. I bought it because it got really high ratings. But unfortunately, the gears down here for the little thing that cleans the filter, they were so cheap, sintered metal, that they just, here's a couple replacements, they just ground right off. They were garbage. I tried to contact Laguna. They're impossible to get a hold of. When I finally did, they said this is no longer a product that's in production and they don't support it anymore. And I think for shop machinery, I think that's a travesty that after 15 years, 12 years, whatever, they totally drop all support for their product. I will never buy another Laguna product again because of that. Because a lot of these other companies, other than Powermatic and some of the big companies out there that make machinery, they just don't support their old products anymore. Even the old Delta stuff and everything, you can still get a lot of parts for all that. Even the old Craftsman stuff you can get parts for. Not this stuff. And so, for instance, with that Nova drill press, that's all the rage right now because it has that computer-controlled DC variable speed motor, high torque, and it's small and all this. It's all wonderful, but I have that fear now that down the road, after I have it for 10 or 12 years, they're not going to support it because they'll make something new or different and change everything, and they'll just say, buy a new one. So that's another reason that I went with something that I know. Now Grizzly, on the other hand, they're manufacturing stuff in China and everything now, which is it's a shame. There used to be a Grizzly warehouse store, a big one in the state of Pennsylvania, and I visited it. I was highly impressed with their products. Their tech support is very good. Their service manuals have complete parts breakdowns. You can buy parts for a lot of their stuff that's old. They still support it. It's widely sold. About 20 years ago, a friend of mine bought the Grizzly, I forget what it was called, the deluxe bandsaw or something like that, or the ultimate bandsaw. It was a 14-inch, just home shop grade bandsaw, but it had ball bearing blade guides, and it had a really good stand and a really good motor, and it was just super high quality for what it was. And it right out of the box, it was perfectly adjusted and aligned. And it's been a great product. So I'm not afraid to buy a Grizzly product, because if something's wrong, I know they'll make it right. And I'm not trying to promote them or anything. I'm just giving you why I bought this. So I bought this for half price. I put the money into a good chuck. I bought a tabletop for woodworking with the hold downs. It has removable inserts. It has a fence with a flip stop. This all came with this. This is just an Amazon thing. You can buy these. I had to build a mount for this because it came with a couple of things like this. Actually, I can show them to you. And they were really crappy. These things, they don't fit under the table. I'll show you under the table here. You can see how my table's shaped. And those things would not clamp under here. So I took a piece of 1/4-inch mild steel by 2-inch bar stock, painted it green, and cut it. And you can see this is really strong. And it's really easy. Those 2 hand screws I can take off, remove the top, and put my machinist vise on here in no time. So I was able to buy the drill press, the Albrecht chuck, which this is probably a $600 chuck, new Gates belts, which I haven't ordered yet, but I'm going to get, the table, and a really nice cross vise, all for under $2,500. Probably within about $2,100 or so, which I think is a great price. Now, if I would have bought this at full retail 2 years ago, this would have been an extra $400 more for the drill press. So I got a good deal on that. I think this thing was, like I said, it was around $1,000. And I think it was originally $1,400 or something, $1,500, I think. So it worked out. Pretty happy with it. It has a really nice wide base on it. And it'll do everything I ever need to do. I mean, for woodworking and a little bit of machining that I need to do. So, a couple things you want to check when you get a new drill press. Most of the ones you get, like from places like, Amazon or something, like the Wen is the big one now. You see them advertising that, W-E-N. But there's a lot of, Vivor and all these other big companies that in China. None of those are going to come in aligned. They basically throw the parts in a box and send it to you. This one actually had been assembled and adjusted and then disassembled and packed and then shipped. So that's another good thing about Grizzly. Most of Grizzly's tools, if you had a different experience than me on that, let me know. But pretty good. But if you get a cheaper drill press, you can still make it do good things, and you can buy them for less money like I did. Put the money into the accessories like a high quality chuck and a tabletop and some things. And you can have a really nice drill press. Here's a couple things you want to check. The first thing starts with the motor. You want to make sure the motor is mounted straight. Now this one is one of the awkward ones to adjust because you have to loosen these screws right here on this side and on this side. And then you have a lever and it pushes against the motor, pulls the motor back, and that's what tensions the belt. You can see how that all moves like that down there. I'll move this down here, you can see. And you can see there's 2 belts. And I wanted this type because this has been the way that drill presses have speed adjustment for 100 years. And it works. They don't wear out, and it's a lot better than, you can get fancy ones with DC motors, and now you got electronics that fail to adjust the speed. You can get ones with the variable pitched pulleys. Again, I've heard that there's issues with them. It's only hearsay. I've not experienced it. I've never had one, but I know this works. My last drill press was like this and never had a problem. But when these come in, they put these 3 pulleys on here and they set the set screws and ship them. But you have to make sure, if the belts don't track straight, they'll chatter. They'll move around. So the first thing you want to do is get a straight edge, and you want to go up on here like so, if you can. And you want to make sure they're aligned pretty close. And this one's not bad. Now this one, the idler shaft is at a slight angle. So you can see it's not perfectly square right there, but it's perfectly square on the other 2 ends. And it is touching on this end. So that could be a little better. I could probably mess around with it down here, but that would be hard to do. But it tracks. I mean, when I turn it on, it runs pretty nice. I don't have any chatter other than the cheap belt. And that is something that you can't do anything about except replace the belt. So make sure those are all level. That's number 1. I want to go over, and when these things come from the factory, they're covered in like a cosmoline type grease. You want to clean that grease off because it's sticky. It gets all over everything. It inhibits the movement of everything. It gets all over your hands. It gets all over the, if you're using it for woodwork, you really want to clean it, because if that grease gets in the wood, it won't take finishes anymore. You'll get all kinds of flaws in your finish. So you want to take some mineral spirits or some naphtha or something like that, acetone, something. Watch the paint on whatever you're using though, or you could mess the paint up. And you want to clean all the bare metal surfaces, just clean everything off with degreaser. Then you want to clean out the inside of the quill. This is called the quill. This part's going up and down. And the arbor, which is this part, goes into the quill, and this is a Morse taper. This one's a number 4 Morse taper. Most of the smaller drill presses are a number 2. They're a little bit smaller. And they go up in there, and you do not want that cosmoline grease to be in there. It will affect the way this works. It can cause run out. It can cause it to come loose. It can cause all kinds of problems. So you want to take a rag and like a stick and soak it with some cleaner, mineral spirits. Clean that out, dry it out really well. You want to clean the arbor of your chuck. Make it really clean. And then when you put this together, it'll stay. It'll be perfect, and it'll minimize the run out. The other thing you want to check is run out. And I'll show you, I'll do an insert of that video right now of what it looks like to set up a dial indicator with a magnetic base to check the run out. Now there's 2 points you can check it at. You can check it at the arbor right here, and then you can put a really good quality drill bit in there and put the dial indicator on your on the drill bit and check for run out down there. So this will tell you the run out of the spindle and the quill. This will show you the run out of the chuck. So if you don't have run out up here and you do have run out down here, the problem's in your chuck or the way the chuck is mounting to the arbor. So it makes it easy to troubleshoot that. The idea is to get no run out, or as close to no run out. A 1/2 thousandths is not impossible on even a cheaper drill press. I'm always amazed how these $500 drill presses or $350 drill presses can have really low run out on the arbor. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. It's really all about getting a good quality chuck. Spend the money on this. That's where the magic is. Now another thing you want to do, and I'm not going to take this woodworking top off, but on the actual surface, the table itself, you want to get your machinist square. You want to put a really straight, either a rod or a really straight drill bit, and you want to reference this direction and this direction to make sure that the actual drill press itself, the drill axis, is level or is perfectly perpendicular to the table surface. So you want this and your tabletop to be exactly 90 degrees. If not, when you drill, you'll be drilling your hole at an angle through whatever material you're drilling. That's not good, is it? So, and different tables have different adjustments. Some of them have a lever you can turn. It makes it easy to tilt the table. Most of them will have a little marker on them like this one does to show you. And this one here has a giant bolt right there that you loosen, and that allows you to tilt the table back and forth. And you want to just loosen that till it's snug, but you can move it. And then you want to get your level this way. Now this way is a little more difficult because not every table has a pitch adjustment, you know, front to back. But usually they're pretty close right out of the box. Sometimes the head has enough play and the set screws and everything that sometimes you can adjust that a little bit, but typically that part's going to be okay. It's the tilt that you want to adjust. And then once you get that locked in, unless you do special drilling processes where you have to tilt the table, you should never have to touch it then. The other thing is you want to check the grease on everything. You want to make sure that the quill is properly greased but not over greased, or it'll get sticky and it'll pick up dust and dirt. So you want a thin coat of like double-aught grease, or the grease they recommend, whatever, from the manufacturer. And you can see right there the gear. And so you want to make sure that's correct. You want a very thin coat of grease on the rack and pinion gear here that you use to make the table go up and down. Not too much, because again, it'll pick up garbage and make it worse instead of better. So just a thin amount. If you have an alignment laser like this one came with, you kind of want to make sure that before you tighten the table down, you get it centered to the center hole of your table. And that you can just do that way. If you don't have this centering laser, you can use a drill bit and make sure that it's lined up with the center of the hole there. The other thing you want to do is, if you have a laser, you want to align the laser to where the bit actually makes contact with the material. This one came out of the factory absolutely not even a millimeter out. It was perfect. Again, this thing was pre-adjusted. There are adjustment screws here where you can loosen and you can move the two laser modules wherever you need them. It's very good. And then there's a nice work light. My Craftsman had a work light on it, so I'm kind of jazzed about that. And that's it. So once you do those few things and get everything lined up, again, the cheaper your drill press, the more of those kind of fiddling around things you'll have to do to get it perfect. Don't be surprised if like the tabletop might be a little rough. You might have to polish it a little bit or some things like that. This one came perfect. So again, I have no complaints about this. So there it is. There's my drill press. If you're interested in this sort of thing. And just so you all know, this is a little primer for what's coming up. I am working on the solid state diode upgrade for my 410B VTVM meter. Although I had a couple viewers contact me with some sources for getting a replacement 2-01C diode tube. So I might get the tube, but I'll still go ahead and make that little extra probe to see if it works. The other thing is I have begun the process of designing the hedge amplifier. By a long shot, you guys requested that I do that project first. So that's going to be the next major project. Will be the hedge amp. And I'm pretty excited because some of the preliminary things that I'm coming up with look like they're going to be very promising. So until next time, I wish you all peace, joy, happiness, and good health in your lives. We'll see you again real soon. And the work will continue because I still got a ton to do down in the electronics shop before I can get back on the bench. So stay patient, and I'll do little videos like this to let you know I'm still around. And until then, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.